Here it is.
What are you talking about?
All your questions will be answered.
Welcome to the world of
Cinema.
That's our take.
Welcome to That's Our Take, where we, the Jacksons, discuss many of the over 12,000 movies we have seen with a focus on classic cinema. As you may have heard us talking about in previous episodes, we have a festival coming up soon. And this festival is a 2-day festival where we showcase lesser-known classic movies. This year, our theme is Enjoy the Silence, where we will show only silent movies. So we thought we would talk about silent movies today. About our favorites, favorite performers, that kind of thing. Before we get to that part, I was curious, what do you think the general public thinks of silent films?
Silent films are boring, is what I think the general public view is. And if they're not talking, they don't want to watch it. That's really what I think it boils down to. I can't relate to something like that. It's too old and it's out of touch with where I am.
Yeah, I agree that's where people get hung up, that it's so old and unrelatable. I also think for some audiences, most are used to streaming, and people will occupy themselves while something is on and you can hear what's going on. Netflix has addressed this, and other streamers have addressed this. Their program will repeat dialogue and plot points because they know people are on their phones or doing something else. In a silent film, you can't do that. You have to be actively engaged.
Yeah, that's most definitely true. I mean, I've done it before where I'll put a movie on and then I'll go switch the laundry and I'm like, oh, I can hear it, so I'm good. But that's not always happening either. So if I'm watching a silent, I'm invested and I'm sitting there watching it. So I'm not on my phone watching movies either, though. So I don't know who you are, but turn your phone off when you watch your movie.
So silent movies to you, do you feel they're unrelatable?
No, yes. So I would say before I started watching silent films too much, I felt like there was kind of a disconnect. But the more I've watched, I would say there are quite a few that I feel like there's something I can connect with in them. If not just humanity in general, I can connect with something that's happening in the story. That's not always the case. Some of them are a little dramatic for me, and I tend to think a lot of people probably even think about silent films as being dramatic. But I think that most are somewhat dramatic in that people think, oh, they're playing to the screen, they're doing these things, and that drama of it is a little over the top and can get a little grating at times. Are these movies too over the top for people, or are they getting across the emotion that needs to be conveyed? And so for the time and the time frame, for sure, I think that good majority of them convey what they need to convey, but some of them are just so over the top that it's hard to even want to watch it. But I think that can just be movies in general, even
Right.
movies today. So some have over the top computer graphics, right? Some of them have over the top dialogue or underwhelming dialogue, even. And so it's all about engagement. How do you engage your audience? And that's something that you struggle with from the very first film. What are we going to show? What are people going to be interested in? Do they want to escape or do they want to be in reality? And you see cinema struggles with things like that all the time. It's like this escapism, this is realism. Everyone has a different preference at a different time, which is nice because you can jump around. But at the same time, some people aren't going to be interested in it because of that.
Yeah, I agree with you that there's definitely a different style of acting. Acting has changed. I don't know if it's necessarily evolved, like it's done better. It's just different. And we're used to the performances we see today, and we're used to the dialogue aiding in that performance. Whereas before, they didn't have that, so they had to get everything across with just their face.
Well, no, their body, their language. And then they obviously had those little word cue cards to convey parts of the story that too hard to act out or to help show time pass or whatever it may be.
Mhm.
But I think it's just a harder thing for people to watch because at least black and white films for majority, when people think black and white, they're thinking talking films. And so at least they have a dialogue they can hear and people they can watch. And this, you blink and sometimes you'll miss something. You turn your head and you'll miss a plot point. It's harder. And so I find myself, if it's a long silent film, I usually have to break it up just because that's a lot of attention. And usually I don't want to work too hard when I'm watching my movies. Um, and so maybe that's something I should work on. But that's just kind of how I am. I want to watch a movie and relax, and I don't want to watch a movie and have to overly think. Um, I'm okay with thought provoking films and whatnot, but actively reading, actively watching, you are actively participating in the film, whether you think you are or not. And if you're
Right.
not in the right mindset, then a silent film is not going to convey the same emotion if you're not. Just like a really good sappy love story is not going to affect you if you're not in that same type of mood, right? I'm sure most people have watched a movie they haven't wanted to watch with someone at some point in their life. Someone's like, let's watch this. And you're like, I do not want to watch this movie. I'm thinking of a friend we had when we had just seen Moulin Rouge, and I wanted to share it with you and him because I really liked the film. And he was ragging on the movie before it had even started. And I not so politely told him if he was going to be like that, he could just leave because it's going to ruin and taint the film. And he did just leave. And I felt a little bad about that because I wanted to share it with him. But at the same time, he was not in the headspace to watch that type of a film. He would not have enjoyed it. I would have been miserable watching it with him, and it could have impacted the other people who were watching it. Later, he did watch it, and I think he liked it. But if you're not ready for a certain type of film genre, sometimes I think it can be a little hard. So I think silence you have to prepare yourself for.
Yeah, that's true. That's a fair point. So these are really the challenges and struggles people have with watching a silent film. What are some of the cooler aspects of silent films?
Connecting to them when you didn't think you could connect to something that happened back in 1919 or some time period that you're like, it's hard because I work with a lot of young adults. They're not children. I work with a lot of young adults, and it's hard when they say, "Oh, that old movie," and they're talking about Ferris Bueller's Day Off or something like that. Or, "Oh, I watch classics," and they'll name that, and I'm like, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, great movie. And nowadays it probably is considered a classic, right? Everyone like it's like, oh, that's a classic film for sure. And it would probably be on my list if I made a list of 1,000 movies. Ferris Bueller's probably going to be on it, you know. But when I'm thinking classics, I'm thinking old, like we are starting film, we are progressing through how film has changed and whatnot. So that journey is what I'm thinking of.
That's what you find is so cool about these films, is that you can reach back into origins and reach back to how they were just starting to tell stories in this way.
And then sometimes you find something in a film and you're like, I wonder if that inspired another film, which you've seen before, but you thought was maybe original. We like to think that all these certain movies back in some time period were original and now there's nothing that's original. But you'll watch a certain movie and you'll be like, hey, that technique from 1919 was stolen and used in this movie. But the amount of people who've seen these older movies are smaller. So on one hand, I'm like, oh, they stole it. And on the other, I think it's awesome that they're using a technique that's so old that they're paying an homage to these films. And so I like that.
I recently was just thinking about this very thing, where these early filmmakers, where did they get their inspiration? Because so many filmmakers now, it's difficult not to be inspired by previous movies and previous filmmakers. So like Metropolis, I don't know if you've seen the one character from Metropolis, but C-3PO is definitely based on the look of this character. But that character didn't exist before, so where did they get their inspiration? So it is kind of cool. That's what's cool for me, is seeing the genesis of these visuals and ways of telling a story. I think about The Lodger. Hitchcock made this movie in 1927. There was no sound, it was a silent film. And he wanted to get across in this a scene where people could hear the lodger walking back and forth above them. So he thought, we'll do that by making the floor look see-through and you can see him walking. Now, obviously, the people didn't have x-ray vision and they couldn't see through. It's just his way of visually getting across that's how they heard him. Where did he get that idea from? It wasn't done anywhere else beforehand, so it's just amazing to me the creativity these filmmakers had.
So creativity, for me, is the biggest key of a movie if it's silent. For me to be like, wow, that's really creative, and I'll latch onto it. So with that being said, are you ready to share some of the films we like?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go first with my number one choice. And do you know what it is? You showed it to me.
I don't know.
It's from 1919.
I can only think of two. Behind the Door, Dragon Painter.
It's Behind the Door.
That's really cool.
So my number one choice for a silent film is a movie called Behind the Door from 1919. I'll just give the rating now. On IMDb, the rating is a 7.2. And on Letterboxd, it's a 3.6. Which I pretty much agree with. I would give that movie around a 3.5 rating. Now, the reason why it gets a high rating and I like it is for originality. I have not seen a movie like that, and it's actually gruesome for what that movie is. You would be like a black and white silent film from 1919. There's no way this movie is gruesome. And it is one of the most vivid, non-shown scenes in my head of this film. They show nothing, but you know what happened, and it's said, and that picture is in my mind, and it is horrific. And I have never seen a movie, a silent film like that before.
It's a great movie, and you're right. They do so much to conjure up these images. You get it not because they tell you what's going on. You get it because of the reactions of the actors, the looks on their faces, their body movements. It's spectacular.
It's probably the earliest revenge story I've ever seen. That's really what it is.
Yeah. It's good. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty obscure. I'm pretty excited to see everyone's reactions.
Watch everyone go like that. because
Yeah,
that's what's going
exactly.
to happen. Because we showed this movie to some friends, and I had not seen it, but Jason had. And we showed this movie to a small group. There's like 5 of us watching it in our backyard, and there was an audible when the scene happened. I don't know. So check it out. It's definitely worth the watch. What's your number one?
I actually am going to go with The Thief of Baghdad.
Okay, that's one that I would say is long,
Mhm.
requires a lot of attention, and you don't watch it late at night because you'll
Right.
fall asleep. And it's not because it's boring, it's just long,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Because I also think something else people think of when they think silence is short. Films seem like they were shorter back then. But this film's like, how long?
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. That's like an epic film nowadays.
Mhm.
This is not a superhero flying through the street saving people, because those movies are about 2.5, 3 hours long, right? They're
Yeah.
action, they're moving. This is a thief in Baghdad.
Yeah, it is long. There are a surprising number of movies from that time that are of epic length, and this is one of them. It's just a fun movie. I like Douglas Fairbanks, who was a huge star at the time. He was the Tom Cruise of the time. He did his own stunts. He was athletic. He's just a joy to watch. And Thief of Baghdad, I don't know what it is about but it's just this magical movie. It's got this adventure side that I didn't think I would be so moved by from a silent film. I reserve adventures for movies that have high production value, big expensive value, um, big expensive special effects, big set pieces. And this movie does have great effects, great set pieces. It's just so exhilarating, and Douglas Fairbanks is just so charismatic, and he carries this movie. I don't know. It's just a ride for me. I was totally mystified by it and charmed by it, and it's just so much fun.
So I like it. It is entertaining, and there's a lot of fun aspects to it. But it reminds me of this scene in Singing in the Rain. And I don't know if you remember the scene, but Gene Kelly's character's in the car with what's her bucket?
Debbie Reynolds.
Debbie Reynolds, okay? He has just fled from a swarm of his adoring fans who have started
Oh
to like
yeah,
rip his clothes apart, right? And
yeah.
he ends up in her car, and she is very slow to realize who he is. But he's talking about, movie stars and everything. And she says she doesn't go to the movies much. She's trying to play it off like no big deal. And she's like, "Oh, you've seen one movie, you've seen them all." And she says, "They don't act, they just make a lot of dumb show." And then she like makes these faces playing to the camera. And then she basically calls him a shadow on film. So parts of Thief of Baghdad are amazing to me, and parts of it are what she does. Debbie Reynolds' character does in that part to me, where she's like, "Oh, they just make a bunch of like." She says dumb show. I wouldn't say it's a dumb show, but that overacting that we kind of talk about, that ooh, ah, ooh, look at me, go over here type of a thing. So
Mm.
I agree it's a good film, but parts of it get that um dramatic over the topness for me. But what's its rating on Letterboxd and IMDb?
It has a 3.8 on Letterboxd and a 7.7 on IMDb.
Okay. So a little bit lower on IMDb, but really appreciated on Letterboxd. And I think that's probably right around where you would put it. Is that what?
Yeah, I would give it a 4 star, maybe a 5 star. I really enjoy the movie.
Yeah, and but again, that's the thing, right? We relate differently to film, and I think that's like cool. You can show me the movie, and I can appreciate different aspects from it. It doesn't mean I have to like it the same amount, but that we can like appreciate and discuss, and also not agree all the time on
Mm.
on films. My next one is a person and his films, so it's kind of his breadth of work. So it's Harold Lloyd.
Yay!
He's my second favorite, but I don't think Harold Lloyd gets mentioned in the same breath as Chaplin or Buster Keaton, which Buster Keaton's on my list too. Um, but I find it sad that he doesn't get listed as much. But he, to me, did more escapism with his films, whereas Chaplin did more realism.
Mm,
And although it was a sad time, people like these films. There's like this heart to Chaplin's films, even though
right.
they're realistic. There's this heart, whereas Harold Lloyd's are almost completely escaping something. I mean, literally, the one movie that I picked was Safety Last, and he is running away the entire time so far that he climbs a building. Um, and so anyway, it's a great film, but people will know Buster Keaton's name, they'll know Chaplin's name, and nowadays I don't think Harold Lloyd's known. And I think that's really sad. And I think he's a good actor too, but in Safety Last, especially like the stunts alone and the humor is just on point. And it's not one of those ones that's over the top, in my opinion. I think comedy, especially silent comedy, it's hard to be over the top. Where I don't know how to explain it, showboating or whatnot. You know what I mean?
You think that's difficult?
To be in a silent film and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think comedy's hard enough. Now tell I'm going
Yeah.
to tell you to be quiet and be funny.
I totally see what you're saying. How do you do it and do it? How do you do it and how do you do it different every time? Because you don't want to keep making the same goofy faces.
Exactly. That gets tiring. You don't want to see someone hitting the face with a pie 20 times.
Right.
The first two maybe are funny. After that, you're just like, I'm over it, right? So you've got to figure it out. And so I hope that makes some sort of sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But Safety Last has a 8.1 on letter or on IMDb and a 4.1 on Letterboxd. And I would agree that's a solid 4.8 movie. I agree with that. Um Harold Lloyd is just hilarious, and if you want to know something about him, his character in these films are the glass character. He wears glasses, but there's no glass in his glasses, so it's just his character of who he is. So the other two movies that I picked for Harold Lloyd that I like of his are one called The Freshman and one called Speedy. I was bummed when I looked up Harold Lloyd's ratings for his other two movies because Speedy and The Freshman both have a 3.8 on Letterboxd and a 7.6 for Speedy and a 7.5 for The Freshman. And I feel those are low. I think that the should be closer to an 8 at least on IMDb. But again, I think that's because Harold Lloyd is not as commonly thought of, and so I think if people are thinking humor, silent films, I'll check out Chaplin, I'll check out Buster Keaton. And I'm urging you to at least check out Safety Last by Harold Lloyd if you haven't seen that one. There's a lot of them. Speedy is probably my second choice. Um, for what I would suggest next after that one. But he has some real short ones, some cute little, I think 15, 30, 45-minute ones.
Hmm.
And again, I think that's because humor is hard. And to make a full length film about something that's humorous is hard. And so I think that's why some of them are shorter. And the short ones are pretty cute too, but I didn't include them on this. What
Sure.
are your thoughts about Harold Lloyd?
I am with you. I don't think he is nearly as known as he should be in the general public. I think he belongs up there with Chaplin and Keaton. He's a genius comedian. Why do you think he's not as known in the general public now as far as silent film stars go compared to Keaton and Chaplin?
Well, I looked it up because I was curious about it myself because I didn't know. And the one thing that came up, but number one was box office success. Chaplin and Keaton's films were more commercially successful.
Really?
Yeah, than Lloyd's were. So there's that one. So Chaplin's film, The Kid, Keaton's The General are recognized for innovation and impact on cinema, whereas what of Lloyd's has been recognized. What is big? Safety Last is probably his biggest, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like that.
So the idea is that cinematically, the kid or the general just had a greater impression on film, whereas Lloyd's stuff is pure comic genius, but it's not necessarily considered a gore. Is that what you're getting?
Yeah.
Yes. I think Lloyd knew what he was doing. He understood humor in a different way than the others did. You're right, where Chaplin had heart in his. This was kind of his thing, the comedy with the drama. He knew how to capture all that. And Keaton was really funny, and he was good with stunts also, but Lloyd was just comical all the way through.
Another thing that it says is in his personal life and public persona, they saw him as a timid or feeble person. And so I guess they didn't see that as something that Chaplin and Keaton were. So because of that, he had a less favorable reputation. I don't know. I didn't know any of these people.
Yeah, I would encourage any of you out there who've never seen a Lloyd movie, go watch one. Go watch Safety Last, like Laura said, and then go down the rabbit hole of his movies. He's just so funny. So, Wings and Sunrise would be on my list, but we've talked about them before, so I want to kind of expose other movies. Lloyd was on my list.
So what's one that we haven't said yet then?
It's going to be a toss up between Metropolis and The Passion of Joan of Arc.
Okay, so let's talk about Metropolis. I haven't seen it. So this will be tricky for you to talk about it without giving anything super away. But this is one that's on a lot of individuals' lists. I remember seeing it on people's lists before the letterbox even existed, talking about films and their impact. And actually, I remember very well an interview Robert Pattinson did, and he talked about Metropolis impacting him for a film he had done. I don't remember what that film was, but I just remember him talking about this film. And I remember when I worked at Blockbuster Video, seeing the cover for Metropolis, but I never watched it.
I kind of kept away from it because of all that hype. Because there was so much that was said about it. It can't be as good as everyone says. When so many people are raving about something, I'm like, yeah, right. And that's my fault for thinking that way. But Metropolis, I only just watched recently, and it blew my mind. It's so much fun. It's from, I don't know how to say his name properly. It's either Fritz Lang, as I hear it from most people, or it's Fritz Long, as Eddie Muller from Turner Classic Movies. That's how he says it. He is a great director. Some of my favorite movies are from him. M is one. I think M is one of the most important movies ever made. And because of that movie, In addition to the hype, I thought Metropolis couldn't be as good as this movie. Um, but it was. It was. It was just unexpected for me. I'm sure sci-fi existed in cinema before, and I know it did. But this really elevated what can be done cinematically in the sci-fi genre, using it as the platform to tell this really good story. The performances are phenomenal. They are sort of what you were talking about, the over-the-top, big eyes, big faces, dramatic hand gestures. But they work with the movie and add to the sensationalism of it. I'm glad I watched it. Next year is the 100th anniversary, so if nobody else is showing it, I think we should totally show it.
Okay. I'll have to watch it, hopefully before its 100th anniversary. Okay. So, number 3. The one I don't think you'll agree with.
Okay.
It's more recent.
Oh, I know what it is.
What is it?
The Artist.
It is The Artist. So on IMDb that has a 7.8, and on Letterboxd it has a 3.3, which upset me because I think people are being too rough on this film. I think this movie is a solid 4 on Letterboxd and should be an 8 on IMDb. But with that being said, I think they took the transition of what it's like to have a silent black and white film and show it in a modern day telling, and maybe people weren't ready for it, or maybe they thought there's no way I'm going to invest in this movie, because it has everything. It has the drama, it has the romance, it has comedy in it, it's got a sidekick dog, it has everything: despair, happiness. It has so much to it, and it even has a Gene Kelly vibe to it. The main individual, he is charismatic. He's everything you would want in a silent character, because you want to watch him. You want to see what he's going to do next. It's modern telling because they didn't necessarily update the story, but there's no pieces of the film missing. Sometimes you watch some of these silent movies, and movies are still being discovered in people's attics, and these are movies that went to theaters, and sometimes the film is decayed or whatnot. So it's nice to have what feels like an old film and an old telling in its entirety without missing or stills in the place of that. And so you get a really good breadth of a story with that. So now tell me how you're upset that I picked a modern movie that's not really silent.
I'm not upset at all. It really is a silent movie.
No, I know, but it's so modern that I thought that would be something you would have been like, it's not from the silent era.
No, but it reaches back. It did its job. I felt like it came straight out of that time period. Not just because of how it looked, because of the performances. They were so spot on with how they could deliver all the messages across with their expressions. The lead especially is so good. Like Singing in the Rain, another educational movie where it's showing you the transition. I would definitely recommend people watching that movie. In fact, if you haven't seen a silent movie before, maybe start with this one. It will get you into it because it has all the elements of a silent film.
Yeah. Or maybe one of Harold Lloyd's shorter ones too.
Right.
That's a great way too. But anyway, what's your third choice?
Well, Safety Last was going to be my third choice.
So what's your fourth?
My last choice would be The Passion of Joan of Arc.
And yet another one I have yet to see. But Jason knows me very well, and he knows there's certain films that probably will not be good for Laura. And I'm not sure if he's decided if this is one that's not good for Laura yet.
Hopefully it's not coming across that I control what you watch.
No. There's just certain topics that are too heavy for me. is what I'm saying. And Jason knows if the dog gets killed, he doesn't show me the movie. And certain things like the Holocaust, there's very few movies that deal with the Holocaust that I want to watch. Because they're just too heavy in my heart and they hurt me too much. And so, with that being said, this is one that I think teeters on that. Maybe it could be too heavy for me. I'd be okay with it. But I know he likes this film a lot because we own it. And I don't buy things I haven't seen. So I know it's because Jason likes it. So what is it about The Passion of Joan of Arc that you like so much?
There's a lot. Fundamentally, it's her performance, Renee Falconetti. She was a stage actress, and this performance is, of all performances in any movie, my favorite performance.
Oh wow, that's saying something. In any movie ever.
Yeah,
Wow. See, I might have to watch it just to see that now.
it's emotional, and it reaches me. Renee Falconetti in Passion of Joan of Arc does it with her face, her eyes, her body language. I am connected to her in a way I have never been connected to a movie before. It's a great performance from her. It's great direction by Carl Dreyer. He was a Dutch filmmaker, and a French Film Society asked if he can make a movie for them. He chose to do the story of Joan of Arc. And it's not like other productions of Joan where we see her go to battle or anything. This is just the trial. The movie is almost a documentary because it's exactly the transcripts.
Very interesting.
Well, if you know Joan of Arc, you know it's not a happy ending kind of movie. I'm not wanting to spoil anything. There are some stories you go into that would be bittersweet at most. And this is not a happy movie. But the performances are so good. The direction is so good. The choice he made to focus on faces is so ahead of its time, I think. I really want you to see it, but I don't want it to bum you out. I know you would give it a fair shot. It is one we are showing at Gems.
No, but it's definitely a movie I'm interested in seeing, but I don't know. It's definitely one I have to give a fair shake to. So it would have to be something that I watch with the right mindset. So maybe at Jim's. All right. So for my last choice was Buster Keaton. And it would probably be Sherlock Jr. But here's the thing. Sherlock Jr., the general, and the cameraman all have an 8. I mean, Sherlock Jr. and the cameraman have an 8.1 on IMDb, and on Letterboxd. It goes Sherlock Jr. 4.4, the general 4.2, and the cameraman 4.1. So these movies are loved. So it shows Keaton is known better than Lloyd because Lloyd's movies were in the 7s and the 3s. And I think they're just as good. But Sherlock Jr. is definitely my take. And it's just because Buster Keaton's comedic aspect with the physical comedy is where it's at. And so my first introduction to Buster Keaton was in a movie called Benny and June, starring Johnny Depp. And he is neither Benny nor June, but he is in love with Buster Keaton. And so he does a lot of things that are Keaton-esque in the film. Specifically, he's in the park at one point with a handkerchief, and you would think this handkerchief has a mind of its own. How he does this, and it's just really an homage to Buster Keaton and his physical comedy. So if you have not seen a Buster Keaton film, I would start with Sherlock Jr. And then make your way through the list because it is just peak Buster Keaton, in my opinion.
Now, we showed that one at Gems a couple of years ago. It's like a magic show to me. I think with the scene where he's trailing this guy who's smoking a cigarette and he doesn't know Keaton is trailing him, and he flicks the cigarette behind him and Keaton catches it and starts smoking it. It's so good. Keaton is the stone-faced clown with that deadpan face.
So that's my fourth and last choice.
It's a good one. I agree. It's another good one to start with. It's short, it's 45 minutes, and it's super good. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to say to help encourage folks to watch silent films?
Give it a try. I mean, maybe it's not your cup of tea, and that's okay. But there are genres of silent films, so maybe there's just a genre you haven't found that you liked. So, give that a go. Who knows?
We hope you've enjoyed our little venture through silent films. Write to us at rccpresents@gmail.com. Tell us about some of your favorite silent movies, because we're always looking to watch what's new to us. And as always, that's our take.